course, Wolf, we've mentioned his small champion pull. He does kind of default to Sona or Zyra when he doesn't get that Thresh pickup. And Pawn is known as just that Nidalee main.
All right. Now, just a couple seconds left. Ohm talking a lot with the head coach of Samsung. We'll go for the Lulu, man. They don't want to leave it open for Faker.
Well, it's also a flex pick now. You've seen Impact run a top lane. You've seen Mandu run it, although Mandu not playing in this match. So it's just too confusing.
Yeah, especially if they take it as first pick, you can't really react to that pick, forcing you to actually show your hand earlier with your 2 picks. Leona being banned out against Mata.
And there, yeah, the Leona ban, interesting. Mata did hit some nice solar flares in spite of losing in that last game, and it is definitely a comfort pickup for him. So last ban, go for right now. That Lee Sin, not as necessary to ban against Bengi as it is against Horo, I think. And there's Jax.
All right, Jax being banned out against T1's Impact. And LeBlanc was open, so Faker's just gonna pick that up for himself, and that left Lee Sin open for Dandy. So you just talked about Bengi not as big of a threat on Lee Sin, but Dandy equally just as big of a threat as Horo is, or any of these other top, Lee Sin junglers. So Samsung's gonna go ahead and lock that in for themselves, along with the Twitch for Imp.
And yeah, interesting pickups. Of course, Dandy, one of those incredible mechanical Lee Sin players. We've seen him get a lot of multi-kills on that champion, and Imp taking away the Twitch. Of course, Imp has been playing just a wide variety of AD carries over the past few weeks, pulling out pretty much everything. And they don't want Bang to get on that bully champ again. Now, the Thresh not there to pick up alongside the Twitch this game.
Now, T1 deep in thought. They were pretty quick about that LeBlanc, but now how do they want to react, especially Dandy getting that Lee Sin? What do they want to pick up? Bang has played a lot of Lucian. We talked about his, kind of mid-game build with the earlier pickaxe for that Lucian, so he's clearly very comfortable on that AD carry. And Evelyn, the other jungler, still open. That's very common, so Bengi just going to lock that in for himself.
Yep. And now the last couple of games that Bengi has played, he's done very poorly on Evelyn. He's re-jungled to have any effect at all on the game. And Pawn picking up Orianna, a safe laner against LeBlanc. She does have the ability to protect herself and give herself that shield. Now, how do you round this out? Now, Looper, I would think Shyvana would be a very good pickup for him right here. They're going to go with Nami as well as Twitch. So they have some good disengage.
And Looper, the only pick left for Samsung, as we see Wolf has had very good success with that Annie. Are we going to see that locked in, though? They're missing also that top laner for T1. Is it going to be Renekton?
Renekton would be a dangerous pick when we do see that Ryze is still on the board. And the counter pick, you have to look at Samsung right now, and they would have a very powerful duo lane. Of course, Lucian Annie no slouch in a duo lane either, but having the 1v1 of Renekton up against a Ryze would be a little bit risky for them.
Now Annie looks to be the lock-in for Wolf, so I think we have the entire lineup set for T1, the T1 Master Match. And let's see, the last pickup, will it be that Shyvana? Just going back to the roots of top lanes, Renekton versus Shyvana will be the safe pick, of course, and Looper uses that teleport very well. Looks like he should be happy with that one. For now, Impact also has that teleport highlighted, so it'll be those teleport wars on top of tank wars. But Samsung just taking their time to think this through. No need to rush that last pickup. But Looper not really saying much either, so it sounds as if maybe Samsung's just confirming their picks, and maybe their coach is talking about how to play out the game now with this pick. Of course, the longer you have the pick phase, the longer your coaches can stay in the booth, so that is going to be the Shyvana lock-in for Samsung with the Twitch, Nami, and bot. Orianna mid for Pawn.
Yep, so very interesting pickup right here. I mean, always has good synergy with Orianna, but so does Rise. I just think Rise would have been a little more interesting. Impact, who has successfully run that teleport Renekton in the past, has switched over to Ignite.
Yes, indeed he has. And we are going to see the double heals in bottom lanes, as it's pretty common these days. Just reviewing the picks. Again, Imp smiles on her face with Mata, so I think we can already tell they know they were a little bit ahead of themselves in that second set. They're here to prove that they can win. And I'm sure for Ozone, of course, they're probably actually happy that it's a mixed roster for T1. Probably trying to exploit maybe some of that synergy. And Imp and Mata probably going to benefit the most if there is any issue in T1 in terms of synergy. Because Bengi, how well can he cover for Wolf and Bang if Mata and Imp make a play? Or in reverse, if they lane swap, you know, how can they deal with that 2v1? Are they going to have that jungle support that you might want for the early pushes? So we'll find out as we go into the master match. It's going to be between Samsung with the Ozone lineup on their master roster with SKT T1, a nice mix of the duo from S and the top 3 players from T1K. T1 fighting to secure their first place seed and an undefeated record here at Masters 2014, while Samsung just trying to take one step closer towards that first place seed so they can skip out the playoffs and go all the way to the finals of the Masters postseason. Let's find out as we go into the Master match. And T1 on the blue side, as we saw.
Okay, full ward starts. Impact actually starting with a lens. So he really wants to deny some vision and try and open up some control early on so that Bengi can get onto Looper and they can really press this advantage. So they looking at that, and Faker and Pawn meanwhile just dancing around the mid lane. A little bit of an early invade right here. Ward mission from SKT T1K. They've got that Annie, so they're going to be able to put a lot of pressure in early, make sure that they can quite easily sweep through the enemy jungle.
All right, and Looper actually going to run right into Faker. They're just going to walk right by each other and trade places. But a nice ward clear from T1, of course, Renekton. Now starting with that W, though, to make sure you can get the ward clear, so along with the stun.
Indeed. And now, that's that deep ward going in. We've seen this from teams from time to time. They want to make sure they get the 1v1. Now, this is a bit of an ambush here from Samsung Ozone. This is cute.
Ooh, T1 is going to walk the far way around, though. Don't want to take any of those risks. So 3 deep wards. They'll also try to see what the lane matchup is. As we do see Looper backing off. And Samsung going to go in for a delayed invade.
Yeah, they are indeed. And 1 ward left for each team right now.
Oh, Bengi does spot them, but he'll be spotted himself, so he'll just have to back off, go safe towards his own red buff as Dandy goes for the enemy blue start. And Impact also going to just be wary of how to do that. You know, if we're going to go for this play, I should join my jungler, help him leash, since the bottom lane wants to go ahead and go for that CS advantage even ever so slightly. So Renekton going to join up with Evelyn here, as we see the same from Looper Shyvana with Lee Sin.
Well, SKTK not going to be getting the lanes they wanted, I don't think, this game. Looper able just to dodge that potential bad matchup. And Nami and Twitch up in the top lane start to push down. Dandy goes back over to clear out the red buff. And Looper will just go ahead and take some wolves on the other side of the map. So pretty common start from both teams, and everybody's setting up for that 4-man shove.
All right, and with that, not much out of the ordinary, so we'll just wait.
Well, Looper actually going back to base now, so he's not going to be joining for some pressure in the top lane, and it seems like maybe a little bit of an advantage here for SK Telecom K as far as the pressure goes, as Renekton and Evelyn both move down to begin pushing. Looper going to be left all alone, and he's not going to have any jungle to farm out either, so I don't know about this. Dandy trying to clear out that white, but SKTK definitely going to get a much more aggressive turret push.
Yep, of course, not only bottom lane, but 4 members starting it earlier. So Looper is just going to have to revert to going to the other side of the map, and he'll be spotted by the ward. So now they know Shyvana nowhere near. T1 can continue to shove through. They're going to pick the white up on the way. Bengi going to go ahead and smite that one, and 4 members still pushing down on that tier 2. How is Samsung going to respond? We have Mata boarding back home, but no one else really. And everyone's pretty far. I mean, Looper, I guess, can walk over, but he'll be spotted, or at least timed, on his way back to that bottom lane. Tier 2 looks like it's going to go down before Looper and Mata can show up to defend.
Yeah, Ozone really misplayed this whole sequence of events by sending Looper back so early on. I don't think they thought.
Ooh, and Looper walks right into a bait as they pick him off for first blood onto Bang. Good play from T1.
Well, they knew they had a little bit of time because they were so far ahead in terms of the tower race. And so they will be taking advantage of that.
Oh,
Dandy tries to make a play onto the mid lane.
Yeah, but Pawn out of mana and also pretty low on health. Meanwhile, with that distraction, T1 will go ahead and go for the Dragon. Takes a little bit long. It's fairly early. Faker actually brings Pawn down very low. Will that Ignite get the kill? No. We have Command Protect coming up just in time to keep Pawn alive, but he's definitely taking a trip all the way back to base as T1 takes a nice 5-minute Dragon. It's not going to be a huge gold burst, but whatever advantage you can get at this point, you already got the tower advantage. Keep that up.
Yeah, and Impact has the experience advantage as well in this winning matchup that they're going to start duking out, but Looper will be able to make it up into the top lane to catch this bit of a relief wave for him at the very least as he starts to go ahead and clear it out with the help of that burnout. He's trying to push it down as fast as possible before somebody comes up here to bully him out of the lane.
Yep, Wolf's going to clear this pink ward on his way up, and Impact was on the way up to the top lane, but looks like he's just going to take the time to clear out the jungle a bit, make sure that Samsung didn't sneak any wards in on their way out, and then it'll take the long way around. Has that Giant's Belt, and Looper only a Cloth Vest on top of the Doran's Blade, so Impact way ahead in this matchup, although he's below in terms of experience just a tad bit.
Yeah, Looper was very fortunate to have a big wave up there in the top lane to meet him immediately, and he just snapped it up, didn't want to try and freeze it or wait, just pushing as fast as he could. Now Imp and Mata going into the bottom lane. Bang and Wolf will collect that one. Not able to put out a whole lot of harassment.
Nice clear from Bang, picks up almost every last hit in that huge wave. So he's going to be able to catch up a little bit in that CS. Picking up the wave when it comes through. All right, Bang putting some damage down onto Mata. Imp did go into stealth, so Wolf afraid to really full commit on that one. Of course, neither bottom lane has Ignite either.
Dandy is going Feral Flare on Lee Sin. This is
wow,
not normal at all. First time we've seen this, but it's going to give him a lot of pick potential here and some really good early damage. If he can pick it up efficiently. And he hasn't been farming too much either, so I don't know about this.
Yeah, we saw what happened when a Feral Flare jungler can't farm much. Of course, Spirit still won the game with his teammates, but he himself had a tough time hitting that spike you want. A Feral Flare essentially just a damage item in the end, and you want to get it at the right timing, otherwise you can't start stacking it up.
I really think Feral Flare is bad on Lee Sin, so I suppose you do have the advantage of a longer range ward.
This is very true.
For fancy plays.
And that could be it. That could be it. You can, especially for Lee Sin's, I guess that would be a huge advantage where you can ward even earlier as you go in for a kick.
Yeah, but generally speaking, you don't want a scaling item on such a good early game jungler when Spirit of the Elder Lizard is a strong item.
Does a ton of damage, that one. So Bengi passes on the blue buff here to LeBlanc and is just going to sneak by into the mid lane. Not going to find anyone. Pawn joins up with Dandy to make sure that no one is waiting there or that the red buff wasn't just being taken, and Dandy will get a safe red. He got the red steal against Bengi, but Bengi's actually looking to respond with a blue steal for himself.
Well, they want to keep Faker just up in this mid lane matchup as much as possible. He nearly got that kill already, so I'll move in. There's a ward though.
Nice trinket ward from Imp just now. Put it down on the way up, and good communication from Samsung as they go for the blue. Faker, can he get it? No, he's not going to be able to get the W across the wall. A little bit too cautious in distance, so Bengi will just take that away, at least from Pawn, with the smite.
Now, if you're Samsung, you are well aware that you're going to be able to outscale your opponents right now, so the fact that you're a couple K gold down isn't overly worrisome, as long as you can just continue maintaining this status quo in the match. And Dandy gets chunked out a little bit. Dandy going to be going for the Sightstone next. So the reason why he's doing this is because, of course, the stacks start up immediately for that Feral Flare, and you don't need the faster wriggles on Lee Sin, really, when you can get the extra HP from Sightstone as well. So he'll get the Feral Flare at approximately the same time, or at pretty much exactly the same time, once he upgrades into wriggles if he already has the stacks down.
This is true. Yep, so now Dandy just gonna roam around, and top lane has been pretty quiet. Faker looking to see if he can maybe get some extra free damage onto Pawn, especially with that blue buff. Pawn not gonna feel comfortable just going through there. Impact actually gets caught as he's trying to cut the lane here on top, and Shyvana does use Dragon Descent over the wall. Dandy actually has to kick Impact backwards. Mata is now also here. We do have that kill going down in mid lane, but Impact will also not go down just yet, but he is slowed, and he flashes over the wall, forces 2 flashes from both Looper and Dandy, so doing the best he can, giving time in mid lane to take that tier 1 for his teammates.
Yeah, really worked out well right there to draw the pressure up into the top lane so that we do see Wolf roaming over from the side, and Pawn just gets annihilated.
That was mean. Pawn just sandwiched in under his own tower this early, and everyone using their ults to secure that kill.
Well, that was just a good play. Now, typically we don't see players proxy farming like that unless they know where the jungler is, but Impact was intentionally trying to draw them up into the top lane so that they could make a play on mid. And he may have sacrificed his life, but he blew a lot of summoners, and it was SK Telecom that got the global objective out of this, and they continue to widen their lead.
Yep, Dragon is spawned, so both teams starting to group up on the bottom side of the map. T1 trying to get that, or trying to keep that ward alive rather, but they're not going to be successful in doing so. Dandy hiding in the Dragon Pit, and Bang actually just went home. So right now there is a slight window opened up for Samsung as they have all 5 members present.
Yeah, there's Looper coming down, not going to split push with the use of his teleport. Instead, he's going to go ahead and move in here, and they really need this dragon in order to stick around.
Oh, a nice shockwave from Pawn, keeping them zoned to the very end, and that's going to allow Dandy to secure the dragon, and a tidal wave onto 2 low members. Wolf gets caught, he gets kicked backwards. He's going to go down, and Looper will Dragon's Descent out of harm's way as Pawn also dodges the culling. Dandy still putting out some good damage onto Impact, but they're not going to chase through. They got all the advantages they want. Good dragon play from Samsung.
Really nice, and of course, without Bang there at the start of the fight, they definitely had an advantage, but just a spectacular shockwave to open that up to make sure that they secured the dragon, and then they were able to use the tidal wave as a method of engagement afterwards. So a big win from Samsung Ozone, and that was much needed as they're now only 1,000 gold behind.
All right, and Imp is actually going to get delayed on his way back from Faker, but he's not, he's not too worried about that one. Might as well just farm up a little more then, although I assume he has the gold for the Blade of Ruin King if he was ready to go back. Now Bang back in that bottom lane. Faker is still trying to pressure Imp, but he's low on health. He has the backup from Bengi though, so I think Imp smells something. He knows that he could duel Faker if he dodges that snare.
And Looper actually used teleport to get up to the top lane. There was a massive wave up there, so he needed to get that experience, not wanting to miss out and fall behind Impact. In fact, Looper with a level lead right now, so things looking really good for him moving into the late game.
Bengi just dropping wards on the way back. He will get spotted by the pink ward though, and here we go. Dandy actually jumps over to a ward across the wall from the blue buff. Quan and Dandy looking for this blue buff steal. Wolf had already just used the stun. Doesn't have Tibbers either, and Imp gets caught by Faker. Imp has been silenced. Will he go down? He gets snared, and Bang looking for the culling, but he won't find the target. A nice transit to help defend that damage, and Faker now the one on the run from the Samsung team.
Yeah, Dandy still over here sparring with Impact in the blue buff, not able to pick it up or get any real damage. Bang!
Whoa, Bang took a ton of damage, has to dash out, and Bangy barely dodging that one, but a shockwave. Impact the only one caught, so that's a blessing for T1. Bengi nor Bang staying around for that Orianna ultimate. And with all those abilities used, Samsung decides to back off. They attempted long enough, and the blue buff will stay alive. Of course, T1 wants to give it over to Faker, so Impact is going to use it to get to his lane a bit quicker.
I will say I think it's impressive that SKT managed to actually hold on to the blue right there in spite of some aggressive play from Samsung Ozone, and Dandy didn't have the biggest effect in that team fight. I think he was over-focused on the blue while everybody else was skirmishing. And Faker does get the buff handed over to him eventually. Dandy does have the Wriggles Lantern now, so he picked it up after the Sightstone, just prioritizing that item to give him a little more tankiness.
And we saw the pings going down at top for Samsung. They want to keep that tier 1 alive. Impact shoved up quite aggressively, but now he's going to back off, and rightfully so. Imp and Mata going to go over there to keep that lane safe.
And they really need to get some, Ozone, that is, really needs to get down some of these outer turrets as much as they are able to kind of close this gap. That's really the only thing that's keeping them behind in this game so far. Of course, again, they will outscale in the late game. You gotta like their odds in a late game team fight, especially as Banshee's Veils come up and Faker just won't be doing very much at that point in time.
Now going for that popular Athene's build still. And what will be the next move here? Everyone just taking some time to go back, buy some items, clean up some lanes, but all the lanes are fairly equal. Right at the middle of the map, Merc Treads coming out for Pawn. Doesn't want to get caught by all this hard CC. We have 2 stuns, we have a snare. So Pawn more worried about that. Not to worry about his early M-Pen, it seems.
And Imp still without a Blade of the Ruined King.
I guess not, and Looper barely going to dodge that snare with from the chains with his Dragon's Descent. So he uses that ultimate. Of course, rather use the ultimate than the flash. Much lower cooldown. He'll need to charge it up, and he'll go right back to it as he runs through the jungle.
I mean, Imp split pushing right here. Not sure if this is the ideal way to go ahead and use this AD carry. Of course, a lot of armor already in the items of Impact.
Yeah, has the Sunfire on top of a cloth vest. Then has a Null Magic Mantle too.
There we go. So Blade now done for Imp. He is going to be in a much better position after this. So big power spike coming in from Samsung Ozone. We'll see if they try and force some sort of engagement here. Dragon up in 45.
Yeah, I think that's going to be the next focus. We see Wolf and Banky going home from T1. They should be back here in time too. Faker also doing the same. See what they all pick up. Faker just goes for an extra Blasting Wand, and Bang went for the early Bloodthirster, and now with the Sheen. So not the build we used to talk about. Going back to a little bit more of a standard build here.
And this Dandy, as we can see, only has 17 stacks right now onto the Feral Flare, so this is going to be a super late flare.
Yeah.
Really, really delayed. And I just don't think this is worth it on Lee Sin, generally speaking. Of course, we'll see how he does with it in the late game, if he can make it that far, but I think you take away a lot of Lee Sin's power in the early game if you're going to go with this build.
And Wolf just kind of baits people out into the river as he clears the ward. Now the pink eventually went down. Samsung pretty happy about that. Puts down their own pink right in front of Dragon. Impact hiding in the enemy jungle a little bit. Faker shows up, helps take out the pink ward and river. Wolf holding on to his stun for dear life, or stun rather, for dear life.
And vision control goes back over to SK Telecom.
Pond staying very far behind, just trying to use that shuttle on Shyvana for a nice shockwave if he needs to use it aggressively, or save it for a defensive or finishing move shockwave. Dandy does get the Sonic Wave onto Faker's LeBlanc, but they won't find it. And just Ward Wars continue as Imp finally, the last one to join this frame. Wolf has that Sonic Wave on him. All 10 members are here right in front of the Dragon.
There's a wave pushing in top, though. Honestly, Chubber, I don't understand why they're not using the teleport pressure right now from Looper.
Yeah, I'm not sure either, but Bengi looking for a flank, and there's a calling in a 3-man. Tibbers goes down. Bengi flashes over. He does get knocked up, but a nice shockwave from Bond. Can he turn this around? Doesn't have the sword shoes, so not full damage, but Looper too far forward after that shockwave. Imp very low from that ignite, has to back off. Bengi will go down to the last auto attack. And both teams essentially losing 2 members, but Imp didn't go down. So in terms of gold, we have Samsung coming out on top, but Faker will go right to the mid lane to push it up. Neither team wants to attempt that Dragon with the health they have left, as Dandy clears up some wards in the bottom side of the map.
Well, definitely. I mean, the threat from Faker, LeBlanc, the burst, is very real. So Wolf started that fight with just a fantastic Tibbers, but Pawn countered with a really clutch shockwave as everybody piled in. And there was almost a 4-man bubble after that as well. It was very narrow, so you see that coming in. Imp does not die here. Pretty fortunately for him, rather. He actually gets out with a flash in his ambush. Look at that shockwave. Now look at this. Oh, man. that was dangerous. Nearly a 3 or 4-man bubble, and if that had landed, Imp, of course, would have just massacred their entire team. Even if he didn't have any health, he manages to escape in the end. Yeah, need to be more careful with their positioning, however, and we're going to go right back to yet another Dragon Dance.
Deja vu. Imp with the last-minute flash, and that fight we just saw a replay of. Now Shockwave is back up, Tibbers is not. So that's the advantage that Samsung has right now.
Looper doesn't have ult either, but Dominus isn't there.
Yep, so that side is pretty much equal. Dandy and Looper will be chased off. We also don't have Evelyn's ult available, so no sneaky flank initiation coming in from Bengi. Imp a little bit far off, but just going to take that tier 1 while he has a chance. Why not? Gets some extra global gold for his team, brings them even closer to that lead that T1 had, and Samsung will take that chance to start the Dragon. Imp joining up right away. Faker looking for a chance, and there's the Tibbers that just came out. There's a tidal wave. Bengi still picks up the Dragon. Looper a bit late with the Dragon Stent. Dandy looking to see if they want to chase through. Oh, a nice block on the Sonic Wave with Tibbers. Not to get chased through, and Pawn will have to back off as Faker tries to pressure him out.
Yeah, Dandy not really known for missing those smites. There's a teleport up into the top lane. I really don't understand why Samsung Ozone isn't just getting some wards for Looper to flank and just using that teleport to create pressure in the side lanes. I think they're playing this out.
Oh, Faker looking for a flank right under tower, picks up a kill. They pick up another one as they chase through on Pawn, and Imp gets caught under the inhibitor tower. Just everything not going well. And Dandy looks for a kill onto Bengi, but Bengi still lives, was not taking any tower damage. Looper does not want to chase through both Impact and Bang right now. Looper's going to have to back off, so is Dandy, and Bengi survives that dive.
Well, Dandy played that out very well, all things considered. He certainly made a play there in order to save perhaps even another tower from going down. Let's take a look at that again. So, Impact just gets blown up by Faker. Pawn gets hit by the stun, and Imp on the back line right here. He does get Faker down, but they turn onto him so quickly. Dandy punishes Wolf with the slow, keeping him under the tower while he's taking the aggro, and man, he nearly gets that double kill.
So close. Not able to secure it though. Bengi's just been running around with that health still, picking up some farm. And yeah, that white's pretty strong, Bengi. I don't know if you want to stick around there. He will just let that be. We still don't have the Feral Flare for Dandy. He's been busy with all this other business going on, so at 23 minutes, still only on the Lantern.
Very, very late. Feral Flare, clearly. And let's take a look at this Dragon fight again. There we go. Looper and Dandy getting knocked around by that 2-man stun. Looper has to back out immediately, and Bengi able to come in with the steal.
All right. So, Samsung you know, they're trying to catch up here and there, but T1 is maintaining their lead. You know, every time Samsung seems to find a window, T1 just goes ahead and shuts it down. And Faker looking for a kill onto Pawn, goes very aggressive, does get the silence and the snare, forces the Dragon's Descent out of Looper, but a nice shockwave from Pawn. Pawn slightly low on mana, so T1 will now turn around onto Looper. A nice tidal wave, gets a double bubble to bring them back. Bang gets kicked backwards. Pawn, no mana though. There's a Tibbers bringing down that Orianna. Looper is still alive as we see Imp making the long flank around to help clean up the fight. Faker and Impact both pretty low, but Looper the lowest, and he will go down. Looper not paying attention to his surroundings on the way back. Dandy with the flash going full aggressive onto Impact. They want to get at least another revenge kill.
And they get it, and they should be able to take a mid lane tower for it as well. So net win. Looper, man, he needs to be a lot more careful. His play has not been very heads up today. He face checked into the Fnatic brush in the bottom lane. And then now that was just a really silly recall when you don't know where LeBlanc is. Of course, coming over onto Wolf right now, zoning him out so they can't engage. That was actually really clutch because Imp wasn't there. He was farming. And so had they been able to land a Tibbers, this would have been really different. As a result, Wolf has to delay quite a bit to get his ultimate off, and now Imp just has amazing positioning, of course, on the side, able to easily clear that out. So you see Faker W out.
Looper, my friend.
Why would you back there?
Well, he paid for it. Hopefully he learned his lesson. And Dandy still only 22 stacks. We might as well not hold our breath anymore for that item to show up as Imp finds Faker. Faker just gonna blink forward, and he actually turns around and bursts Imp down as Dandy shows up for a revenge kill. Faker trying to jump away, but here comes Looper. I don't think Faker has a way out of this. He's trying to use his clone to block shots off, and he gets it. Looper has to flash forward, but Faker flashes the E, and he looks as calm as ever as he ports back home, using his clone to make sure that Dandy can't follow up with another Sonic Wave. Love this guy. You know, just when we thought maybe he had stagnated.
Faker, playmaker.
Yep, that's just him, and that gave Bang all the time in the world to take down that top tower finally and push through, reaching that tier 2. Faker first with a fake out surprise kill on him, and then just a long chase, taking out a lot of abilities from Dandy and Looper.
The speed, I think what's the most breathtaking thing about Faker's play is the speed at which he plays mind games with you, where you think he's gone and then he comes back, Bengi getting a little...
Yeah, Bengi's gonna have to flash out. He doesn't want to risk getting caught by that shockwave, and there's a very preemptive teleport from Looper, so another summoner taken out from Looper, and Faker just shows up again. Look at this guy, now he's just dancing around his opponents, trying to force them to react, just blowing summoners out of them, and Imp uses Blade of the Ruined King, and Faker just says, all right, back off. My ultimate is on a way shorter cooldown. And Samsung at this point is just way too afraid of Faker.
Well, I think they have every right to be. They can outlast him once they start getting the Banshee's Veils, but this is prime time for LeBlanc.
That is true.
And they're waiting for this.
Yeah, Faker just keeps jumping forward, trying to draw out more abilities. He's not afraid to use his ultimate for that extra jump. And Bengi, is he going to go for another steal? Nice command attack positioning from Pawn. And T1 says, all right, you know what? This one's not worth fighting. We might as well go for the inhibitor. Not much of that wave left right now, but a new wave showing up quite soon. We have 2 members from Samsung porting back home. And then the others just walking all the way. Impact there to start tanking it for his team. And they're just going to go ahead and get the inhibitor turret. No opposition sensed whatsoever from Samsung as T1 backs off.
Well, they get the turret, but they're not actually able to pick up the important objective on the inhibitor, so they will trade 1 for 1. Make an inhibitor now for Samsung, but this is, they're really going to start out scaling hard.
Faker just keeps jumping over walls and then blinking backwards. Earlier we saw him just now blinking forward, finding the Banshees on Looper and says, oh, never mind. Not the one I want to find right now. Man, yeah, and this is why... Now, this is why that Athene's is popular with a lot of these LeBlanc players, is that shorter cooldown allows him to play mind games all day. Look at how often he's jumping over walls. and then just running away with it too. It's constantly up.
If you're able to create that opportunity as well, you just keep trying it, and eventually you're going to find somebody alone that you can kill. So I like the way that Faker's playing this LeBlanc. It's very interesting. Not something we see too often. Let's take a look at the replay again.
Oh man, what a fake out. Im's like, all right, let me go back around.
He definitely was not expecting Faker to show up again.
Wow, what a play. And then just look at this, the clone and Faker positioning that clone right in front of Dandy the whole time. Dandy gets one auto attack onto the clone. Had that clone not been there first, the first auto attack would have secured the kill for Dandy. But
I was really hoping when Faker recalled there that Looper would come and hit him with his E.
That would have been just karma all around. But Samsung, now with no wards from the enemy team, is just going to go ahead and try to sneak a somewhat desperate Baron, although we're still pretty even in this game.
It's not desperate at all. They actually have a lead probably at the moment, just because of their team composition.
Gonna get stopped and knocked away, so no steal in sight, but Looper gets changed down, will go out first. Pawn and Imp both have to flash over the wall. Shockwave only bringing Tibbers closer to the wall, as Impact looks for one more kill, doesn't find it, but Faker shows up. Imp is gonna go down. And Dandy getting chased by Bang. They should be able to find this one as Faker shows up over the wall once again. The cooldown's doing work for this LeBlanc.
30 minutes into this game, Dandy still doesn't have a Feral Flare, so not worth for this item, definitely. Pawn getting caught out a bit right here. Faker going in for the kill. He's not going to be able to pick it up. The turret just a little bit too dangerous. And Samsung Ozone, they really didn't have to go for that Baron. They have a scaling advantage in this game, and instead they're just going to hemorrhage some more objectives and lose their inhibitor as a result. I mean, they were only a couple K gold down. I think that was a really weird call from them.
Very rushed, and so T1 gets a huge advantage off of that. You know, they didn't get the steal, but you wiped the buff off of most members right now. And Pawn, the only really important member left with it. All right, so what does Faker buy? Just a Void Staff on top of the excellent cooldown he has. Now, it was a good tidal wave and another kick to make sure that they secure the Baron, but Looper way too far ahead, can't really tank for his team anymore.
He also has a bunch of Baron magic shred on him, which is just making it even easier for Faker to chunk him. That's why Faker was doing so much damage.
Yep, and Pawn had to rush his Shockwave, wasn't able to really hit any champions with it. And Dandy gets caught over the wall. Faker everywhere in this game, 6, 1, and 6.
Well, it's just his playstyle creates opportunities. He's constantly on the hunt, looking for what he can do, trying to probe and find the weak point in your armor, and he really made it. Yes, Dandy, world's latest Feral Flare. He was in a competition with Nintendo, but Dandy wins, world's latest.
It's finally here. We've waited all night for Dandy's Feral Flare. It comes after his randomness is finished. And
so this is just a terrible build.
Well, you know, at this point, I can't even really imagine if we can hope for it to do any work. Look at Pawn nearly getting deleted without a DFG in sight for Faker. Goes ahead and takes the Banshee's Veil off so they can start sieging.
The DFG is definitely in sight. There's the Codex there. It's coming. And then Faker is just going to be able to annihilate anybody, possibly even through some Banshee's Veils.
Yep, and Faker jumps in, and Banky comes in with the flank. Nice tidal wave, but can they survive long enough? Shockwave just to try to survive and back people off. Faker with a nice split from his cone is going to keep Dandy distracted for so long as Impact also slices and dices over. But good ultimates used defensively from Samsung will chase the entire team of T1 off. They don't get the inhibitor. So Samsung is able to save what they want and also block the Nexus turrets.
And there we go. As you can see, Faker should be getting a DFG very shortly. See if he actually is able to complete that item. No, not this time around.
Yep, he's just gonna march forward with some more AP. And then, of course, with that blue pot, rolling the entire game pretty much. So Faker all the way up front, just gonna shove up that mid lane so they have a nice window for a dragon, and we'll see if T1 Decides to move down bottom. Faker gets caught, but nope. You do not catch LeBlanc.
Does he? Well, he has Talisman as well, so they're immediately able to rotate over to the Dragon, secure it, continue getting a bigger and bigger lead right here. Dandy has a cowl, and Faker just a monster. I mean, we're used to this guy having insanely good games on LeBlanc.
Absolutely.
Coming up big for his mixed roster team again tonight. And Ozone, they're not looking too sharp, especially after that big win last week.
Yeah, they've had a rough night. You know, they lost to T1S face-to-face in set 2, and Samsung gave them another chance here in the Master Match to represent their team, but
frankly, Ozone just looks sloppy tonight. They have made a lot of uncharacteristic misplays in both games.
Yes. You know, Looper, porting back home
Looper,
with no
Mata
LeBlanc
in the first game of tonight.
Dandy missing his smite. It's just things the very basic things we've come to expect from Samsung Ozone have not been happening in tonight's game, and those have snowballed a lot into this bigger problem as you pass the 30-minute mark, nearing 35. And Imp now, he has all the items he needs for a nice spray and pray damage, and then to follow up, goes for that Negatron Cloak. He also wants that Banshee's Veil, but is it really going to save him? He doesn't have it finished yet. Lens is used everywhere, so Looper just going to clear out that ward, but another one put down promptly by Bengi.
It will definitely help, at least until the DFG is completed. Imp looking for a pick, coming out front, has the Tidecaller's Blessing on him to add some additional damage, but he's not going to find any viable targets.
And once again, that teleport not being used effectively by Looper. You know, just kind of holding on to that now. He's going to go up and try to defend that top lane. As we see Bengi get spot by the pink ward, and I'm sure T1 will just have their time to get rid of that, but now Samsung making sure they cover all the places with their wards. A nice culling will send Pawn back running. Has to use that Talisman to make sure they get away just in time. That's going to give T1 time to clear out pink wards in the enemy jungle. They get one. They don't find the other one just yet, but Faker's going to move on up top lane and shove that up, as now they do have 2 naked inhibitors against Samsung. We have the mid and bottom inhibitors open. Which one will they target first? Baron up in 23.
Yeah, they definitely have just insane vision control around the Baron as well. Faker just trying to put some pressure on in anticipation of the Baron being up. Bang, starting to make a move. Looper, and the other thing about Looper is we always praise his teleport, but the shot calling just hasn't been there. He hasn't even been applying pressure with teleport on any of the early Dragons. It's just frankly bizarre to see Ozone playing so sloppily.
It's really the best way to put it, Monty, as Bang clears up that mid lane. Impact and Bang will take out that pink ward very quickly. Impact just waiting across the wall for some more wards as Looper marches forward, gets stunned. Dandy does have command protect on him. Command attack just getting a little bit closer to the enemy team. Now Bengi looking for a flank once again. Samsung's very aware that this is the threat from Evelyn, but they don't have eyes on him yet. No pink wards until Bengi walks into that lane. Bengi will walk all the way around, and he gets the ultimate, but a little bit ahead of his team. There's a flash. Timbers gets dodged by everyone from Samsung. Is this the team fight for Samsung Ozone? But Imp gets caught by Bengi as he gets chased down, and we see Imp dueling for his life while the rest of his teammate is locked in. But T1 finds the kills they want first, as Looper was not able to keep tabs on Faker's LeBlanc, and Faker will turn around and pick up the kill onto Shibata.
Wow, Looper was trying to deal with Faker that entire fight, and Faker the one who ends up with the kill in the play in spite of the totally botched initiation from SK Telecom. They're still able to drive it home. Long timers now.
Wow, so T1 just going to get that free inhibitor in mid. Dandy shows up, some very low members on T1, but Impact correctly just standing in front of his teammates. Faker almost taunting Dandy to come in with that Sonic Wave. And so there's the second inhibitor down, and Faker actually marches back forward. Sonic Wave's down, so he just tries to get some damage on there. They do need to use the Talisman to escape. Don't want to get caught by Mata.
Well, there's an opportunity now for a counter Baron, actually, from Samsung. If they just rush the Baron, they may be able to take it down in time.
All right, well, while we keep tabs on that, let's look at how this fight worked out.
It was a good evil that came in. Now look at this. Tibbers misses, and Dandy and Looper are right there, but just very bad target calling, and Imp gets jumped on. He never really has an opportunity. Bengi just runs all the way through the fight, actually picks up the kill right there. So really a poor team fight from Ozone, and this is what they had to do. This is the counter, Baron.
Yep, and here we go, but Culling is here. People getting very low. Bengi looking for the steal, but Dandy does get the Baron, but Impact's here at full health. Mata will go down, and look at that burst coming in from Faker and all his teammates. A double kill for Impact. 4 members get deleted as Faker chases through, gets the chains onto Dandy. Dandy will get snared over the wall. Faker with the cooldown going to chase after him, and Dandy trying to hide in the brush, but a team ace cleanly for T1. And look at that face on Dandy. Just, you know, you can't even really say anything at that point in the booth. You went for what you had to, but you couldn't secure the fight afterwards. T1 is going to push through, and ladies and gentlemen, SKT T1, despite the tough times they've had in Champions, ends the regular season of Masters 2014 with an undefeated match record.
That's right, and that's going to guarantee them that first place seed now, of course, as well. Nobody has a chance to catch up for them, and that's a very nice season. SK